The Secretary General has said the world's failing to do what's needed to ward the most severe consequences of potentially existential problems facing the world,
such as climate change, pandemics, disruptive technology, and growing inequality.
We need a much larger share of the world population to be more aware of and concerned about the major problems facing the world.
But can we do it? Can we really mobilize hundreds of millions of people in just a year or two?
You can't hit what you don't aim for.
The bottom line is we have to find ways to effectively mobilize hundreds of millions of people behind the SDGs in a very short time.
Here's an example. How valuable would it be if we could get hundreds of millions of school children from all parts of the world to join in an action that would justify their being declared global citizen heroes and make them and their families so proud that they will be looking for more opportunities to get involved in bettering the world?
What if their actions would result in dramatically reducing the number of children worldwide who are not in school due to hunger or extreme poverty by as many as 10 million in just 1 year?
and at the same time contribute to improving the reading skills of tens of millions of young students. For sure, this would be an amazingly desirable result. But is it doable?
Imagine the following. Schools around the world have been negatively impacted by COVID. However, it seems the world is on a path to recovery. This creates an opportunity where the Secretary General could call for the youth and children of the world to commemorate the victory over COVID and demonstrate commitment to overcoming up to 2 years of reduced education by participating in a worldwide read-a-thon and reading at least 20 hours during one of the first months when schools around the world are fully back to in-person learning mode.
Imagine if such an appeal by the Secretary General was echoed by the ministries of education around the world, calling on schools in their jurisdictions to participate in the global read-a-thon.
Imagine if the appeals of the Secretary General and Ministries of Education were then reinforced by appeals of celebrities calling on youth and children around the world to ensure that their schools are participating and to maximize their reading during the read-a-thon.
Imagine associations of educators at all levels calling on all schools to participate.
Imagine tens of thousands of Rotary and other service clubs around the world announcing a campaign to get businesses and others to incentivize local reading by sponsoring local students by pledging to donate a small amount for every hour read during the read-a-thon, to reducing worldwide the number of children not in school due to hunger or extreme poverty.
Imagine some major philanthropists announcing they would match local read-a-thon donations up to hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine how much talk about the read-a-thon such an announcement might result in.
Imagine even a modest donation sum per participating student potentially being able to reduce the number of children not in school due to hunger or extreme poverty by tens of millions.
Imagine how knowing the amount of impact that their reading is having on the world's poorest children might have on these participating students, especially those who themselves are so poor that they never imagined that they would be able to contribute to bettering the lives of others, now realizing that they have something of value. Namely, every hour they read is now worth something.
Imagine if there was a parallel competition for the best class within a school, and the best school within a city, and the best city within a state or province, and the best state within a country, and the best country within a region or the world,
based on the highest average number of hours read per student in that geography.
And a website showing a leaderboard showing which classes, schools, cities, states, or countries are leading in their region.
And the media reporting every day on the status of their local area.
What kind of incentive do you think that might result in for students to increase their reading?
And there could be similar competitions per school or city, etc., which have the highest amount of donation pledges per hour read, and which regions have the highest percentage of schools participating.
Some people or businesses might even pledge bonus donations for the winners of such competitions at various levels.
Imagine the frenzy of participation and reading such competitions might bring about.
Yes, a reading frenzy. That's our goal.
If all the above happened, can you imagine that the majority of schools in most countries would participate in a global read-a-thon that the whole world was talking about on TV and radio news, and the Ministry of Education was promoting?
if during the early days of the Read-a-thon, Rotary clubs around the world were to organize community rallies as part of an Honor the Readers Day global celebration event. Can you imagine a significant share of the local population would participate? At least the parents and relatives of the students.
Imagine that following a read-a-thon, Rotary and other service clubs organize ceremonies in communities around the world to officially honor all the students who read at least some minimum number of hours, for example 5 hours, as official global citizen heroes. Because the hours they read led to the donations that dramatically changed the lives of millions of the world's poorest children.
Imagine millions of new global citizen youth heroes joining Team Vision 2030.
A global team of young people dedicated to actions to advance the achievement of the SDGs in all parts of the world for all people.
If students are honored as official global citizen heroes with certificates and perhaps wristbands or t-shirts identifying them as global citizen heroes,
and receiving special respect throughout their communities. Can you imagine this would make the students and their families feel very proud? Can you imagine many of them looking for more opportunities to do something heroic?
This is another example of a relatively easy to implement initiative with the potential to mobilize hundreds of millions of young people behind an action that will likely deliver concrete benefits in a number of directions.
Number 1. Improving reading skills of tens of millions of people.
Dramatically reducing the number of children worldwide not in school due to hunger or extreme poverty.
3. Having hundreds of millions of young students being declared global citizen heroes in a way likely to create great pride among the students and their families and entire communities.
Number 4. Having tens of millions of young students joining a global youth movement dedicated to advancing the achievement of the SDGs worldwide.
We started this presentation noting that many parts of the world are not on track to achieve the SDGs in a reasonable time. One thing is clear.
Sustainable achievement of the SDGs will require a larger share of the world population to join the effort to advance their achievement.
Potentially, we could see hundreds of millions of students participating in this read-a-thon.
And billions of hours being read.
And many hundreds of millions of dollars being raised.
And the number of children in the world not in school due to hunger or extreme poverty being reduced by potentially tens of millions.
And that's only the first year.
It's conceivable that within a relatively small number of years, the number of children not in school due to hunger or extreme poverty worldwide could be reduced to 0.
And one more point. Once we've mobilized students in almost every school in the world via the Read-a-thon, we can announce a competition for the class with the best 3 to 4 minute Future We Want skit or presentation,
which the class would prepare following a discussion of the SDGs from the perspective of global and especially local problems.
By inviting the world to participate in voting for their favorite student presentation, online and broadcast competitions,
we again get very large numbers of people to start thinking about the SDGs and the problems facing the world.
In this video, we've presented an example of a relatively easy to implement initiative that has good chances to mobilize hundreds of millions of people and lead to widespread desire to advance the achievement of the SDGs in all parts of the world for all people.
All of these initiatives are very well suited to be repeated annually, where they are likely to attract even more participants from year to year.
As we noted, many people will think hundreds of millions is an impossible goal simply because it is so large a goal. Most people can't imagine how that could be accomplished and therefore make no effort to think of ways to make it happen.
But other than its size, what have we mentioned that is so impossible?
The idea that the Secretary General will call on the world's students to participate in a read-a-thon as a demonstration of resolve to overcome almost 2 years of reduced education.
Is it so hard to imagine that the Secretary General might do these?
A top priority of the Secretary General in recent years has been to find ways to get a large share of the world population thinking about the need for and value of international cooperation and institutions.
I can't imagine he would pass up such an opportunity to get hundreds of millions of people participating in or supporting an action likely to result in their identifying with a UN-sponsored initiative and being more open to further initiatives regarding the SDGs and the future we want.
Well, Mr. Secretary General, what do you say about that?
Should we fail, let it be for reasons other than not having aimed high enough.
and not having tried hard enough,
or having assumed others will make up the difference to what's needed.
Dare to be great.
Atreve de ser grandioso.
हिम्मत रखो महान बनने की.
Siubok na ye kaise.
あえて素晴らしい行動を
Oser être incroyable.
敢想敢做
Atrévete a ser increíble.
يبقى يقاوم.
शानदार होने का अज़्म.
تجرأ أن تكون عظيما.
Dhubutu kuwa mkubwa.
Talak la mohoni tfaro.
Dare to be great.
Are you ready to dare to be great and ask, why not?
So Read-a-thon is a fundamental reading program. It is the basic need of every child, particularly in third world countries, where children are extremely affected from ignorance, poverty, and hunger. I am Rotarian Raja Ibrahim Sakti, Senior Associate Member and the Deputy Governor from Rotary International District 3272. I really like and support this idea.